and inshallah we shall achieve our desired objectives.
Information Minister Labaran Maku put in perspectives the meeting the council had with the president.
Meeting went well, and particularly the Shah of Borno was happy in the counter-insurgency by the military. He said that there were remarkable successes in the recent countermeasures, and they believe that if this tide continues, it is quite possible that the army will eventually flush out the insurgents, and there is a lot of public expectation that the military will continue to gain ground in the recent counter-offensive against the insurgents.
The Northern Council of Chiefs also commended the administration for effectively containing Ebola virus disease in the country. In the state, Shagun Lawale, NTA News.
In another development, the need for government institutions to work together for the actualization of developmental policies and programs takes center stage as the head of civil services of the Federation interacts with the chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Garba Brini Kudu was there in news.
The Federal Civil Service Commission is a gateway to Nigeria's civil service, while the Office of the Head of Civil Service regulates postings and management of such staff. That is why collaboration between the two bodies is necessary. These were the points highlighted as the new head of service visits the Commission for the first time since he assumed office. The chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission, Deaconess Joan Ayo, intimated him on efforts to improve on succession plans in line with principles of federal character and opportunities given to persons with disability. This is coupled with challenges of funding facing the Commission.
We should look into cases of succession gap in ministries. We have started working on this, starting with Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've also asked Ministry of Justice to present their own vacancies for the purpose of advertising for them.
The head of civil service of the Federation, Mr. Aladiki Fasi, commended the innovations in the Commission and pledged to sustain the bond of partnership and collaboration between the two organizations.
And because we have been given the task and an assignment to ensure that the transformation agenda of Mr. President is achieved, it is a task that we cannot not to succeed. We must work together.
In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo has restated the commitment of the federal government towards providing inadequate and affordable housing to Nigerians. He was speaking at this year's annual conference of registered quantity surveyors holding in Abuja. Mohammed Hamza Sheikh reports.
Established in 1980, Board of Nigeria is empowered to, among other things, determine who is a registered quantity surveyor, regulate and control professional practice, as well as monitor the activities of surveyors and surveying firms in the country. Vice President Namadi Sambo, represented by his senior special assistant on monitoring and evaluation, says government is prepared to partner surveyors in its quest to achieve the transformation agenda.
We need knowledge-based professionals like consultants to help in transparency and making sure that government has value for money in execution of this project.
Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, also represented at the occasion, said the conference is in tune with the federal government's interest for value for money in all capital projects. President of the board, Malam Hussaini Dikko, said the conference is to review past activities and foreshadow the future, especially on costing of projects.
We're happy that at least we're communicating with our members on the need to update ourselves on current trends so that we can hopefully meet the challenges of the construction industry better.
Other speakers stressed the need for quantity surveyors to improve their knowledge in line with global trends. In Abuja, Muhammad Hamza Sheikh, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Presidential Committee on Flood Relief has resolved to ensure fairness and the distribution of funds to victims of flood disaster and also insist that all humanitarian issues are addressed. Correspondent Joseph Arok reports.
The meeting, co-chaired by Alhaji Aliko Dangote and Mr. Olisa Abakoba, primarily reviewed its activities and projected on its future programs. Not satisfied with the response of people and organizations that pledged to support flood victims through the committee, the meeting resolves to do more follow-up on the matter.
We should be our brother's keepers. There are still millions of naira hanging out there just because people have not responded.
How do we actually ensure that individual lives are rebuilt?
Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, Sani Sidi, and the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Linus Awute, speak on other areas of deliberation at the meeting.
Briefed this committee this afternoon on the current situation. I have given the overview to the committee, and the chairman of the committee has asked that we should send a formal report for consideration to the larger committee.
50 million naira drug donation procured specifically as essential drugs for the victims, which have been distributed to the affected states, has in many great a way prevented the occurrence of diseases.
The committee was inaugurated by the federal government to raise additional funds to augment the 17.6 billion naira earmarked by governments to provide succor to flood victims in the country. Joseph Arok, NTA News.
And with more interest expressed in our sector by foreign investors, the federal government says all forms of power generation will be explored in boosting electricity in Nigeria. State Power Mohammed Wakil stated this during a symbolic document signing ceremony in Abuja with a consortium seeking to construct a 260 megawatts power plant in Ewekoro, Ogun State. The project, estimated at $400 million, is backed by the International Finance Corporation, a subsidiary of the World Bank. With this agreement, the cement manufacturing company has expressed its readiness to supply to the national grid excess power produced from a cement plant. To this end, at least 220 megawatts will be available to the national grid, out of 60 megawatts expected to be produced from the power plant. The Minister of Labour and Productivity has met relevant stakeholders to address critical disputes, jurisdictional scope, and also voluntarism in Nigeria. The meeting is expected to strengthen trade union movements in Nigeria and also help government in labor administration. Let's join Ignatius Nkwo for details.
That the right to organize and form employers and workers' organization is a vital condition for a sound national industrial relations with its workforce. That is why the Ministry of Labour and Productivity is organizing this interaction with stakeholders so as to progressively and consensually address an important area of trade union administration and relations in the country. It is expected that this meeting will clear some grey areas in terms of industrial relations in Nigeria and ensure that Nigeria meets the obligations of industrial relations as stipulated by the International Labour Organization, ILO.
The ministry did not arbitrarily decide on this subject, but was motivated to allow extensive discussions on the issue of unions, judicial scope, and voluntarism, based on numerous complaints emanating on the matter in recent times from the trade unions and also from employers, including some NDAs at different tiers of governance.
We strongly believe that from time to time we should have conflicts. But if such conflicts occur, it is our responsibility to subject ourselves to the processes put in place to resolve such conflicts.
Participants at this workshop will be abreast with legal instruments that guide labor relations in the country. In Abuja, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Lagos State Governor Fashola meets survivors of Ebola virus disease. Jennifer Igwe in our Lagos Network Center is our guide. Jennifer, it's over to you.
Thank you, Femi. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos. Survivors of the dreaded Ebola virus disease recounted their experience when they met with the Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola. Jesuta Moses report that the survivors were full of appreciation for those who worked hard to save their lives.
For the survivors, it was a testimony time after an experience of close save with death. For Dr. Maurice Ihiabushi, who first attended to Patrick Sawyer, it was a good thing to get out of disease. Why? It was a glorious thing to relate the experience, according to Dr. Yono Adaura.
That very date, I don't know what came over me. That I was so reluctant. I could have asked the guy why he was rushed to first consult. He lied to me that he was in a conference.
We sacrificed our lives because we knew that we wanted to ensure the safety of Lagosians, Nigerians, and humanity.
We were at home and before they now announced the case. And she said, Jerry, this man, I cared for him. I said, are you sure? It was getting very terrible. Eventually I had to call one of the monitoring unit doctors that my temperature has been persistently high and you guys have to come and pick me.
Babatunde Fashola, in his response, congratulated the survivors and their families. According to him, their survival was a proof that Ebola was not a death sentence. He added that their appearance will also help in curbing the challenges of stigmatization.
I am sure that from today, people watching you, listening to you, wherever they may be, who are victims, will be encouraged to come forward and seek help.
In Lagos, Jesuta Moses, NTA News.
As Nigeria moves towards optimizing the benefits of cassava production through local content development in milling industry, stakeholders have met in Lagos to discuss the cassava policy with the aim of drafting the bill for cassava sorghum bread. Jane Ojukwu reports.
An estimated 127 billion naira can be saved in foreign exchange, with 5,000 small and medium enterprises springing up to produce the 1.2 million tons of high-quality cassava flour demand estimate upon the signing of cassava sorghum bread policy. This portends a win-win situation for both the government, the citizenry, and the economy. According to the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi Firo, which has been in the forefront of the cassava research and development in Nigeria, the current administration of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan is committed to the adoption of cassava bread as national bread.
All the advantages accrued to this inclusion, that is, if you are looking at 10 to 20%, cannot be overemphasized in the area of job creation and generation, in particular with wealth generation in just one value chain, which is the core of Mr. President's transformation agenda. With the cassava transformation alone, we know what it takes. The socioeconomic input, apart from utilizing local content, how it's going to solve the problem of job.
Stakeholders are expected to evolve the necessary policy framework for sustainability of the cassava sorghum inclusion in wheat flour so as to enable the nation reap the numerous benefits of the cassava sorghum inclusion policy. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
Proper monitoring and supervision of education sector in Nigeria with qualified and dedicated teachers have been advocated as effective measures necessary to put the sector on sound footing. This submission came from some speakers at a lecture organized by the King's College Old Boys Association in Lagos. Jane Ojukwu again reports.
Guest speakers at the event include prominent politicians from across different political parties and other stakeholders in the education sector, with elder statesman Chief Philip Asiodo presiding.
Let the political parties for a change begin to debate issues, show us who can implement these things better. We begin to know exactly what party will do to take us forward.
The incessant unimpressive performance of students in external examinations, some of the speakers say, is an indication that the education sector needs to be overhauled for efficient delivery.
We must get the quality back. And you can't get the quality back unless you concentrate a lot of attention on teachers.
Given the strategic importance of the sector to national development, they advocated measures to assess the performance of teachers through effective monitoring and supervision.
We should be able to emphasize on supervision, management, all these that can make it work.
Other speakers said that continuous training of teachers in line with international best practices and emerging trends is imperative if the country's education is to regain its glory. In Lagos, Jane Ujuku, NTA News.
Following the increase in death from prostate cancer in Nigeria, the National Cancer Prevention Program, in collaboration with the Committee Encouraging Corporate Philanthropy, has initiated moves to provide free screening exercise for Nigerian men. Tunde Saiki was at one of the screening centers in Lagos and now reports.
Prostate cancer is one of the cancer-related diseases that often affects men when cells of the prostate multiply in an uncontrolled way. Medical research shows that more than 26 men die daily from this ailment. Some of the symptoms of prostate cancer include difficulty while urinating or even inability to do so, difficulty in having an erection, painful ejaculation, pelvic pain, and arthritis. It's against this background that the organizations are conducting the screening exercise.
This is just a way of creating awareness or sensitizing our people to know that, see, prostate cancer is common. It kills people, but it can be prevented.
Some of the beneficiaries of this free screening exercise commended the philanthropic initiative.
For me, it's a wonderful opportunity to really have it on this platform.
It's a very good one. We are all here, all the people that you see here, they are taking this test for free.
The exercise, which is part of activities to mark the Cancer Awareness Month for this year, is expected to continue on Saturday. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
And Tunde's report wraps up our contribution from Lagos. Back to you, Femi, for more on Nationwide News.
Thank you, Jennifer. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has highlighted the resolve of Nigerians to live in a united and peaceful nation, just like the people of Scotland have chosen to preserve their more than 300-year union by voting to stay in Britain, irrespective of challenges of ethnic diversity. PDP National Publicity Secretary Olisa Metu, in a statement, says the decision by the Scots has shown that citizens can indeed push through their resolve to live together and peacefully as one people. He urges Nigerians to emulate to ensure that their thoughts and actions are always guided by the national interest and values that unite and bond all citizens. He therefore charged all elected and appointed officials at all levels across the country to redouble their efforts in the handling of the unity of the country. Meanwhile, the Minister of National Planning, Dr. Suleiman, has urged the people to support the transformation drive of President Goodluck Jonathan, which he says is improving the lives of Nigerians to do more. Dr. Suleiman stated this when the Kwara State chapter of the People's Democratic Party organized a reception in his honor in Ilorin, Kwara State capital. Correspondent Ayodeji Abdulmalik completes the report.
Was received by PDP stalwarts and other indigenes of Kwara State expressed optimism that the impression of the warm reception is a clear indication that his mandate is supported in Kwara. The minister, however, charged the people of Kwara to take the bull by the horn and support transparency and accountability, which the People's Democratic Party is known for.
The impression here shows that PDP has been accepted, PDP is here in Kwara, and by 2015, PDP is going to Kwara.
Top-notchers of PDP in the state assured the people of Kwara of their determination to liberate Kwara people.
February next year, the PDP will, by the grace of God, occupy the government house of this state. You have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders.
It's a new dawn in Kwara politics.
Earlier, the minister was at the palace of the Emir of Ilorin, Alhaji Ibrahim Sulugambari, where he received his royal blessing. The Emir advised politicians in the state to allow peace to reign for the sake of growth and development. Ayodeji Abdulmalik, NTA News.
Still on political matters, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has formally declared his intention to contest for the presidential ticket of All Progressive Congress (APC) ahead of the 2015 elections. He made his intention known while speaking to media in Abuja. Correspondent Aisha Tuzango Abdullahi has more.
Alhaji Atiku Abubakar says his decision to seek his party's ticket to contest for the presidency in 2015 was born out of a wide range of consultation with political associates.
And the consultation tour took me to all the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. And we even had voting in each zone I went.
The former vice president says he is willing to respect the decision of his party, whichever way it goes, at the end of the primaries.
We need to work together. We need to be together in APC for APC to succeed.
The former number 2 man rounded his briefing by calling on Nigerians to rally round the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, through close monitoring to ensure a free, fair and credible polls in 2015. In Abuja, Aisha Zango Abdullahi, NTA News.
Away from political matters now concerned about the food security situation in the country, traditional rulers are canvassing for a more proactive approach to agro-industrialization. Towards this end, a 2-day National Development Summit of Traditional Rulers is on in Abuja. Ruben Okala reports.
Even before colonization, they existed. Their regalia and attires stand them out as protectors of traditional values and customs. They outlive all governments and administrations. They are called the royal fathers or traditional rulers. Besides protecting customs, values, and traditions, they also contribute to national development. The 7th National Development Summit of Traditional Rulers provides them another opportunity to discuss the way forward for food security.
To make sure we concentrate on agriculture, which will benefit everybody, the masses.
When we go back home, we'll continue to enlighten the people so that agriculture will take the front burner.
Growing the crops to maximize the yield, but even more so, preserving what we have.
So thinking in terms of formulating policies that will increase the food supply in the country.
The summit features lectures with the Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment adding his voice to the discourse.
We must also make efforts to export some of them so that we can earn some resources back in our country.
The summit is with the theme Food Security and Agro-Industrialization in Nigeria, Realities, Potentials and Prospects. In Abuja, Ruben Okala, NTA News.
The People's Democratic Institute has called on the United Nations to directly intervene in nation's fight against insurgents. The Director General of the Institute, Lanre Adebayo, made the call while briefing journalists in Abuja on Nigeria's current security challenges. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Management is a core function of the People's Democratic Institute. Most times, it is conflict arising from electoral violence. But this time, the current security challenges in Nigeria is occupying the election conflict management team of the Institute. The Institute says the increasing rate of internally displaced persons arising from insurgents in Nigeria is alarming. Therefore, a swift response from Nigerians' allies becomes expedient, especially as the 2015 general election draws nearer.
Nigeria and her people have fulfilled their obligations under the UN Charter. Members of Nigeria Armed Forces have served meritoriously in peacekeeping all over the world. We have laid down our lives for other members of the human race to have peace. This is the time for the international community to rise in solidarity with our country.
If you notice what's happening with ICU now, if President Obama could say, okay, there's a need for the allied, US and the allies come together to fight this, there's also the urgent need for Nigeria and her allies and friends of Nigeria to also come together.
The Institute called on the media to avoid any reportage that might directly or indirectly promote the activities of terrorists.
We also appeal to the mass media to reconsider the content of the reportage, which recently have tilted towards showcasing the strength and capacity of the terrorist groups.
They also urged past presidents and heads of states to come together and lend their support to President Goodluck Jonathan in fighting terrorists in the country. In Abuja, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, officers and men of the Nigerian troops wounded and those rendered incapacitated during counter-insurgency operations will be adequately catered for so as to encourage and boost the morale of other serving personnel. President of the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, Mary Abadi, gave this indication when she visited wounded officers and men currently receiving treatment at the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in Kaduna. Defense correspondent KG Busari Ahmed was on the entourage.
With the renewed offensive launch in the ongoing counter-insurgency operations by the Nigerian troops, the insurgents have not only lost huge numbers of men, but have also lost equipment such as anti-aircraft guns, many AK-47, assorted rifles, vehicles, and a host of others, while some local government areas formerly occupied by the insurgents have been reclaimed. This feat is not without the supreme price paid by some members of the Nigerian troops, with lives lost and a few incapacitated and wounded. To further encourage and boost the morale of the troop, the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff and President of the POA, Mary Abadi, identified with the soldiers.
They've done enough. They've defended our nation, and we just want to encourage them that hope is not lost. They have saved our nation, and it's not something that we can say we want to say thank you to them. It's not enough.
Some of the officers and soldiers receiving treatment at the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital, Kaduna, who spoke with the crew behind camera, expressed their readiness to go back to the battleground and put to final rest the menace of insurgency. From the Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in Kaduna, KG Busari Ahmed, NTA News.
The newly constructed Federal High Court in Owerri has been commissioned. Correspondent Ngozi Kujumra reports that the commissioning ceremony in the Imo State capital coincided with the 2014-2015 legal year of the High Court judges nationwide.
Commissioning the edifice, Acting Solicitor General of the Federation, who represented President Goodluck Jonathan, spoke on the essence of the building, which is cited in almost all the states of the Federation. She advised legal practitioners to continue to do their job according to the ethics of the profession.
This is in tandem with the administration determining efforts to expand access to justice for the people and ensure that Nigerians from all disciplines are able to access us for the purpose of resolving their disputes.
Speaking earlier, Justice Ibrahim Auta expressed his pleasure at the efforts of the federal government. He requested for more judges who have the needed qualities to be appointed to help in the quick dispensation of law and justice at the federal courts.
I have not evaluated the number of judges and the staff.
Governor Wole Rochas Okorocha and others spoke on the significance of the project and its role in governance.
I'm happy that the judiciary has moved to this level of good infrastructures all over the country.
The federal government is bringing cause that which is the last hope of the common man to the doorstep of the common man.
The ceremony was preceded by a Thanksgiving service at Katol, Owerri, followed by a special guard of honor by the police.
This is particularly set to help in ensuring justice in the state. From Owerri, Imo State, Ngozi Buchilam, NTA News.
This is NTA Nationwide. We now go for a short break. The news will continue in a moment.
A link is coming from America.
Thank you.
I told you earlier that all the Saturdays in September is for town northern rallies. Yet you went and fixed the marriage of my daughter.
Daddy?
Hey, nothing. Nothing can make me miss the opportunity to thank the President Goodluck Jonathan for what he has done for us.